Okay, so thanks for having me again. And I think the audience has stuttered since last time. Good seeing you all. Thanks a lot. I think there are also some visitors that came again, so I tried to come with a different topic, not to be too repetitive. I was not quite sure how this split would be, so I have a brief part about myself and my work, and then I want to highlight like 3 other positions from the institute, like 3 colleagues I'm working with a lot in their projects, and I think I will keep the part about myself rather short. And then I have a very special topic at the end, a study program that I'm running since 2020, because 2 students of this creative computing bachelor are here in the room, and I also want to tell a few words about the program. Okay, first of all, where are we coming from? We are from Austria, St. Pölten. You probably don't know it, but that's fair. Let's say it's close to Vienna, which is the capital. Yeah, so very close. We have good public means of transport, and with the fast train, you can reach the large city within 20 minutes, and we enjoy the smaller city. It's about half the size of Boulder out there. And yeah, we are a young and small higher education institution. So we are existing since the 1990s. We have about 4,000 students and 4,000 full-time academic staff, like faculty and researchers. We have a large number of partner universities. We are interdisciplinary. We are trying to be innovative in our teaching. Yeah, we have a handful of bachelor's and master's program and doctoral programs, one of which I also will briefly report today. Given our application-oriented setup, we are organized in a different way. We have the research institutes, but in a kind of a matrix organization, like the study program. That's my phone. It's not the message in German. I thought it was. Okay, an error has occurred. This is the translation. I don't know which one's so serious. Myself, sorry. Okay, and so we are like built around our study programs, and the institutes, they are there with all the third-party funding lecturers, and each faculty, of course, also has a place in the institute. So the institute that I'm talking about today mainly is kind of a large organizational unit, but is borrowing all the personnel, like from the study program, all the faculty personnel. Yeah, so I studied different flavors of information systems and computer science, and with a PhD rather late, because I dropped out of university, but came back, luckily enough. I worked as a media artist, and since more than 20 years, I've been teaching and doing research at the University of Applied Sciences in St. Pölten. I'm a professor since 2011. From 15 to 20, I've been heading a research group and also the institute I'm going to talk about today. And then around 2018, I started a little side adventure with the study program, but it's occupied me a lot. So since 2020, like my only function is the academic director of the bachelor program, like the 2 students are here today from, and I'm really very happy about it. I've been working in computer vision, and also my thesis plural are located in this field. Surface computing, interactive machine learning, and my favorite application area are the humanities. And yeah, and going back to the time when I was a university dropout, and I would of course not suggest this to anybody in the room. I've been working a lot with Ars Electronica, and we are seeing the city of Linz. Here it's another town in Austria alongside the Danube, and yeah, 2 buildings that are roughly highlighted, and a bridge connecting them. No, that's not in English. And what we did back in '98 is to try to create some kind of sculpture where we installed lights, audio, and kind of scrolling text, and made these accessible with web interfaces. which sounds kind of boring today, but I can promise you it was an adventure back in the 90s. It was even having webcams was adventurous. You needed lots of hardware related programming and so on. And yeah, I think the most impressive part was this insurance building behind of each of the windows of which we installed lights and had to drill holes for the cables because nothing was there that would work cable-free. So it was kind of fun, but it worked out. And for 2 weeks, we had it running all night. And this is kind of my very far past. And yeah, web interfaces from the 90s and Java, applets, and what's on. Yeah, sad part, we had to do some censorship on the building part because with this 9 by 11 pixels, you can do all kinds of things that you do not want to see in large scale in public space. So we had like a 1-second delay and someone sitting in front of the screen and kicking out unwanted images. Yeah, it's kind of sad, but we learned after like the first hour that we needed to do something because the interfaces were completely open, so anyone could like join and even without a login, just load the applets and contribute. Okay, then so coming back to university and a couple of years later, we founded the Institute of Creative Media Technologies, where we are conducting interdisciplinary research on human-centered interactive technologies and media of the future. Yes, because we do it today and use it tomorrow. It's kind of a large claim, but we are trying to be innovative. And we want to empower and inspire through scientific research in media, arts, and technologies. Yeah, we have like some application areas like data visualizations and some claims that we are trying to do and to help others with the things we are doing. And so some of the application fields and yeah. So this is said matrix organization, and I won't torture you right now, but we have like research groups that are bundling like all the third-party funded stuff, and we have the study programs. But maybe a short story. When I was here last time, it was only 3 groups now, and we are still growing, and the setup that we did is working fine. So we have 60+ researchers and always about 40 running projects. Yeah, and I'm mainly representing the visual computing part of the institute, and so this is what I will be reporting about today. We also have like one colleague who is collaborating with us a lot. She's a film scholar working mainly on animation studies, and we will also see two projects from her. And yeah, I mean, I won't read all the names now. It's not very brief because this is really repetitive from last year about what I've been up to. So I did, together with students, lots of works with touch tables and other surface computing devices, very often in the museum and long-term installations. And I'm always surprised hearing from someone that the things are still running. So like one installation we made 5 years ago, and I thought it was just for an exhibition. They called us, now look, we need to do some updates on the content, and I was, well, it's still running. So that's really, I think it's very simple, but these yeah, tables, they somehow a bit out of style. Even the conference has been renamed a couple of years ago to tabletops and surfaces. It's not any longer now. It's like, was it the spaces and surfaces? I think the ISS. Yeah. So tabletops are out of fashion, but I still like them. And yeah, and then we've been working like in larger context on having all the digital artifacts in an exhibition and give them means of communication including the visitor's own devices. And we also had the luck to be able to install the system in an exhibition that was running for half a year. And yeah, just a couple of highlights from them. The BCC students, you will recognize Victor up there. I think he's the supervisor of both of you, or at least of you. And yeah, so then I've also been working with the archaeologists a lot, and this is more like computer vision oriented. So I designed algorithms, and this is kind of a bit of funny nowadays because each foundation model can do the job that I needed a full PhD for now. So now I spend like 3 days with mask RCNN or the like and have the same results. But at this time, it was like beautifully and carefully handcrafted algorithms, in this case for distinguishing natural rock surface from humanly packed rock surface, and to help the archaeologists not to spend their summers on the rocks and tracing the rock art. Yeah, and then also in categorizing.
Is there any way to get rid of that black bar?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Is there any way to get rid of that black bar?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course, but that's
Yeah,
a
okay,
very
or
good
something.
input. I have not even seen it. Thanks a lot for the hint.
Okay, good.
Yes. And yeah, and also further investigation, like on different packing styles to distinguish the pack regions further. This work is already classic. I mean, it's 10 years old, but also with the methodology, yeah, lots has changed, and yeah, we have more powerful tools now. Then the next application, okay, out of context here now, so what's my mouse? Here it is, yeah. Was then on paleography, on manuscripts, and you know, now we are at more recent work. So this has been published last year, and it's about an auxiliary science for historians, namely distinguishing handwritten text in medieval manuscripts with respect to the scribes, to the hands. This should then help to learn about how the manuscript creation process was organized, so who wrote what, whether some parts distributed throughout the scribes and so on, and also the travel of the manuscripts between the monasteries. And what we did is first of all try to model the human know-how to distinguish this, and yeah, I think no more details. And what we also did is, because it's always kind of a cold start problem, so there's a huge amount of such manuscripts, but only a small number of scholars. And so you have, for some of the manuscripts, you have like the annotations, and for the others not. And so what we added on top on the distinction algorithms is an interface which allows like the inspection from the perspective of the history scholars. And what we can see here is like one book. Each of the fields or tiles represents one page in the book, and the color reflects the scribe. So we have like the legend up there, so like scribes A20 and so on. And this is really helpful. At least they tell us it is, because here they can see at one glance that probably almost the whole book has been written by one hand, and without having to inspect each of the, I don't know, 200 pages. And to see at the end, probably, yeah, something changed. And also, again, I don't want to go too much into detail, but with different models, like containing a different number of hands or different training methodologies, We repeat these experiments, and we also see what remains stable, what changes a lot. And in this case, like this last part, it's still not clear how many hands and who, because there's some kind of noise. So then the idea is maybe it's a new hand. And the experts can then, of course, update the labels, class labels, and we can do a retraining. And what we can see in the upper part is the confidence. So how confident was the model in its classification? And we see like in this last part, it's all white, which is the lowest confidence. Okay, now still manuscripts. This is a recent project which we just started. It's about the illustrations in the books. And like the large question, and there's also now a student, a PhD student, working on the question how to model visual style. And this is one of the application fields. And also here we want to learn who did this. Of course, not the person, because we can't identify them, but to find like works of individuals in different books. Again, it's like this when the automated method helps, because it's a tedious job, but this is very much different from the writing, because the writing is standardized and can really be learned well with the existing foundation models. Here we are currently in the process to learn from the art historians. How are they describing and basing their decisions? So in February, we will have a workshop with a bunch of experts on this topic, like specifically on this fleuronnet, and we try to learn from them how are you judging your decision. And like I learned a bit already, so like from some of the parts and how some of these parts are done. And we will do like a classic test with them and a focus group afterwards to just find out how are you basing your decisions. And maybe this also helps us with the design of our identification system then. And yeah, what we now have is some low-level tasks like identify the pages with this fleuronnet and segments them so that we can use them later on then for our things. And there's hardly any ground truth there, so there's not much art historian literature about the creators of this, and so we are doing first experiments on unsupervised style, let's say, comparison. So this is just randomly taking patches from this graphics and tries to cluster these based on a visual similarity. And yeah, we hope that this will lead us somewhere. So that's our baseline method. Yeah. So, and in fast forward, but this is my most recent project. I promised it will not all be about myself, and I'm holding it. So the next member is Franziska Bruckner. She is in fact a film scholar and art historian, and her expertise are animations. And I want to show two projects of Franziska. The first one is animation. It's a larger basic research project together with the German university, with Tübingen, and it's about a very specific material, namely ephemeral films from Germany, Austria, both Germany's and Austria from after World War II until end of the 90s, so as long as Eastern Germany existed. And it's about the animations in these ephemeral films. And like one question is, again, you have huge amounts of material. On which frames or in which sequences of frames are there animations? and of which kinds, because there's of course, large typology of animations. She's an expert there, and now we have this corpus, and first it's about the annotation, and it's a very, how to say, fine-grained taxonomy for the animation techniques. So, like all in this bubble, each line represents one specific technique of animation. So there's all in there, even computer animation in 2D, 3D, and uncertain, which is just like one little box, but all the others are like, how to say, manual animation techniques. And now, like the material is annotated, large parts had already been annotated by the film scholars in this project, and we really know then for each of the frames. Is it a fade in? Is it an animation? Is it a cut out? Is it fade out? And these are the colors there. And with this ground truth, for a small part of the material, we try to again then explore the rest. And this, the first computer vision task is the segmentation, still without a temporal dimension, so only for a frame, but self-supervised to find out which parts of the image are artificially made and which parts of the image are of photographic content. So this is what's just going on. There's also a first publication, but I think I wrote out the slide. Okay, a second project
So
by
what do you do with that
Franziska is
information about-
sorry?
What do you do with that information about which part is photographic and which part is animated?
Good question. It also helps later on to found or base the decision whether it's animated content or not. So this is like one building block for this. On one hand, and on the second hand, it helps also to find specific like animation things, because mostly it's then drawn. Of course, there's a small part of animation that's just cut out and moving the existing photographic parts, but most of the
So in
time.
other words, within frames, you look for the animated part of frames.
This now is like this is within the frames without temporal dimension, and it's like one building block for the detection of the segments for the animations. Okay. Yeah, and the second one is the VR in motion, and it's again about animation, very specific analog stop motion animation, and transferring this to VR. And the setup of the project was to invite artists and to give them like a scenario where they can like transfer their analog animation work into VR. And yeah, I have a couple of slides here. So we had like 2D cut out, and unfortunately no videos. So I think we'll go through this. And again, it's about stop motion, but in VR. Then yeah, it's hard to show without the goggles. And the last one is like transferring the Gaussian splash into the VR. So this is more than an arts-based project, like the first one. Okay, so that was Franziska, and the next position I want to show is Wolfgang Eigner. And he's into information visualization, and here I'm just showing some research strands with examples, because he has been and is very, very active. So one of his strands is a situated visualization, visualization that's related to the environment, to the context where it is. And yeah, there's a set of projects in agriculture and different others. And I think on the second slide, we also have a video for this. Also in industrial environments, as we can see on the left-hand side, agriculture, industry, like the two images there. The next strand is visualization literacy. Yeah, where there was a couple of projects and publication stream. I personally like a lot the enhancement of visualization literacy for data comics. We even have now, like for subjects like math, some proposed comics for certain topics by Momo. That's by the way the thesis, PhD thesis of Magdalena Boucher, in case you don't know. This was internal now for the BCC students. Yeah, so the literacy and also the physicalization. There is also a strand of projects. It's mostly student projects. I mean, these are like science dissemination, like long night of research or something like this. But also always some student projects of the ones that like to work with their hands. And last part is about audio visual analytics, to have like or to combine the two sensory possibilities of acoustic and visual information. This is very deep basic research. I just wanted to include it there because this is also our audio guys and the visualization guys are meeting up. I also took part in one of the cognition experiments. It was for me very tedious to go through some visual things and acoustic things and to judge what is better. But yeah, I would say it's also already a strand, like with different projects and several theses. Yeah, and the last position, it's Matthias Zeppritzauer, and this is strongly related with our applications in the health field. We have physical medicine, physiotherapy in German, also in the house, in the university, and we've been working together with them since many years. And it's mostly about gait. And so there are different modalities to measure gait, like pressure plates or 3D with markers or modeling it. And there's a huge field to find questions and hopefully also to answer these. And yeah, there's a huge gauge data set, and also recently we teamed up and have a gait lab, and are also using mixed reality then for rehabilitation purposes, so not only learn about the gait of persons, but also help to train certain movements in this mixed reality settings. Yeah, and that's all. But where all of the positions meet again, because I started with myself, which is impolite, but I'm here, and then the three other positions, and we have this joint PhD school, which is running since a bit more than a year now, where we are like the computer vision and the visual analytics are meeting and are applied on the cultural heritage. So this is where I feel very much at home. So we find lots of the things we've done before in there again. Although here we have a focus on a moving image and photography of the 20th century. There's no older material in there, and we teamed up with the TU Wien, like the Technical University of Vienna. And so this is the core the core faculty. And yeah, you will notice these were like the 4 positions that we heard. And right now in the first round, we have 5 PhD students that are already up and running, and we are trying to have this scheme like fully set with the topics. So we have where we have the creators on the top, the recipients on the bottom, and we have data, we have digitized twins, we have physical artifacts. We want to present these as immersively as possible. The creators and the analysts want to explore and give feedback, and this led to like 5 topics, starting with some kind of prediction, and this is what I'm supervising. And as said, it's very hard now for the student, because in my PhD times, okay, you had the problem and you would design an algorithm and hopefully succeed after many long nights, but now everything is there. Like each month there's a new foundation model that can do what you want it to do. So like the job has changed. And what is anyway also the approach that I like to follow is also to include the experts. Of course, always ask them, what do you need from the material? In this case, again, it's like film scholars, historians, and yeah, try to keep the human and the user and the expert in the loop. And then the like other topics are then like intent analysis, context analysis, and relationship analysis. It's all about the content and to create insights. And on top, we have the situated storytelling. And this last topic, this will really go to the field. In the center of Vienna, there's the Prater, which is a historic place for recreation and hunting and for world fairs and whatsoever. There's a very rich and dense material there of photographs and narratives. And yeah, the last topic we explore how to explore this place. Okay, so a bit longer than expected, 33 minutes. A few words like to honor the 2 creative computing students here in the room. So the study program is about human-computer interfaces, but also providing a good basis with all the technical needs for it. And which is maybe not special for yourself, but I mean, it's my pleasure, of course, all the students, but this is like the first English computer science program at our university, and I think there's only one other in the whole country. So for you, it's completely clear to be in an international context. For us, we have mainly Austrian or German-speaking students and also programs, and I try to create a program.
Seems you must
that
have
I would.
you
Sorry?
must have left out India.
Again?
You must have left out India.
I mean, yeah, maybe. But we have, I mean, it does not look like it from the list of the countries, but we have some rational world markets, the program and yeah, try to have our niches. So like the first market is like the former monarchy. So these are our closer neighbors in Europe, and like worldwide, we can't afford to do any specific marketing at all. So these are the ones that are finding us and are also succeeding, because luckily enough, we are heavily booked. So yeah, and I'm looking forward to adding a new picture each year now for the next years. And yeah, so what is it about? I won't torture you now with the curriculum, but there's one thing that's specific, or 2 things, let's say. First of all, the students go through a ready-made program, like in school. And second of all, in the first 4 semesters, we have a project-oriented 2-week, very intense phase, applying everything that has been learned throughout the semester. And this turned out to be very nice. It's always a fight in the university to have the rooms, because now we need like 2 rooms to have all the 70 students
That's
permanently
That's
there.
the lab on the right?
Yes, always like this yellow part is at the end of each of the semesters.
And that happens at
It's
the
very
end.
fun.
Sorry?
It's
Fun.
very fun.
Thanks for
Happens at the
that.
end of the first year, or where does it, in the first year, does it happen at the very end?
So it's
What's a
like each semester, so I should have explained, one. So like each line or each row is one semester, and it's like at the end
At the end.
of
Okay,
each
so the
semester.
conclusion or summary.
Yes, like before the break, just to have an intense phase.
Fun, intense fun.
Again, yes, yeah. And then in the fifth semester is the internship, and then a larger project semester. But I didn't want to go so much into details. Maybe one last word, like the contents: blue design, green HCI, orange is technical content and coding. And so it's about like weight between design, HCI, and coding. And this is also like the profile we like to give our students. Yes.
How do you manage students who maybe are more on the design side versus more on the technical side, and how do you manage their learning?
Yeah.
When you have
It's
probably
a very
diverse group of students you work with.
Very good question. So, I mean, it's a bachelor program, and we also allow to find out. Of course, there are musts for everybody, but the later in the program, the more choice can the students make. And for instance, in the huge project at the end, the Creative Code Lab 5, we renamed it. Students can work in the departments they want to. They can just the design, just the UX, or just the coding, but it's also a way to find out.
Yeah.
But there's like some, of course, I guess some are slipping through, but there are some like basics that we ask from each and everyone, but also allow to find out what am I interested in. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe a last one, and like the student stats. We are very proud to have almost equal distribution with respect to gender, and I apologize for all that's left out there, but we don't have more in the statistics at our university. And the other is like the nationalities. So there's a bit more than half is Austrians and 40% international students. And this is changing over the years always, but half European and international students. And I mean, we are not doing too much marketing outside of Europe, but maybe we should, because the study fees are almost non-existent. Maybe we should market in Boulder or something.
What is DSDs on the chart? What is DSD?
Okay, so that's a German acronym, Drittstaaten. It's third countries, countries outside of Europe from the European perspective.
Oh.
So like the first nation, second Europe, third. It's a technical term for countries outside of Europe. Okay, last one. Usually many students came to us and say, I want to make games. I think it's very normal for each computer science and creative technologies program. This is how they end up in their internship. So these are like the topics of the internships from the first two cohorts. And we also have the numbers on the right-hand side. So it's evenly spread between design and development. So yeah, I think we have kind of a nice population. Okay, thanks for your attendance. Thanks for the patience for the ones who are in the second loop, because there was some repeat from last year. And yeah, I'm happy to receive questions if any. Thanks a lot for being here. Yeah.
So in your work, that's combining design and humanities and softer things with technology and coding and harder things, that interface, are you finding collaborations with companies that want to bring your discoveries and findings into some sort of reality? practical, use.
So, from collaborations on, I ask you to repeat a bit louder.
Collaborations with industry,
Uh,
where you might bring things towards some
it
sort of
depends,
products.
yes, I get it. It's a very good question. And yeah, of course, there's like the cultural industry, which is a large part of creative industries. Of course, also, especially in Europe, like the institutions are mostly publicly funded, but still there's a market, like all museums, archives. So this is our market. But very often the collaborations turn out to be applied research projects. Some things are also brought to market, but this is like for my line of work, difficult one. Yeah. But like how to say, there is a market, there are jobs, but it's not a classical like product buyer market. So there are many things that you find in the museums, also lots of the technology there. I don't know, one example from the 90s, like mass digitization from all kinds of objects or books. That's mostly an output of larger research projects. There is then one company that takes over and maintains the product, but we are no longer involved. Then it also don't see it as our objective. But there is like, yeah, in spin-offs mainly. Yeah.
I experienced something similar to what you said.
Okay.
You said not too much, actually. Yours isn't too much. I remember writing a proposal to the National Science Foundation here. It was pretty good size. I was working with the National Archives and places like that regarding the preservation of visual media.
Okay.
And preserving, them over time in terms of various aspects. And I found it very hard to, the reviewers would say very nice things, but in the end they wouldn't fund. If it had been like Ludo,
Yeah.
I was working with on that particular thing, then I think then would have been a different answer.
Yeah.
And I found that frustrating because I tried a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of like this, well, okay, so what, museums and all that,
Yeah. It's very risky, and especially for the basic research funding. I think it will be way harder than it was in the past years, but now we are somehow like it's the age of digital humanities, and at least in Europe, it's also very much funded. So it started like with the European funding already in the maybe even 90s, or at least in the 2000s, very specifically targeted to 3D, because this is what industry wanted, but there were lots of funding like cultural heritage and 3D acquisition, presentation, basically computer graphics and computer vision, but with this topic of cultural heritage, because we're Europe and are proud of it. And later, like this expanded to the archives and the libraries. And long story short, it's still possible, but I just received a rejection, which is normal, but it's not so easy as it was. Yeah. I mean, I can tell about the proposal because I like it. It's again about the handwriting, but it's also very specific, like handwriting of music scores of operas. So there's also then like one musicologist in Vienna who is the expert on this, and we teamed up also to like move our methods into this field. And like we had, this was like basic research, like comparable to the National Science Fund here, and yeah, 2 enthusiastic reviews, and reviewer number 3 said, "What's new about it?" And he was. I have to admit he was right, but maybe it's maybe this will end at some point, but there's always like this kind of but it's difficult.
I think it's kind of an attitude of, which industry is going to be fun that we know are going to drive the economy.
Yeah.
We have the situation more in our graduate program. We get applicants to our master's and PhD program, and then they say, well, why should we do this radically interdisciplinary degree when I can major in computer science and then apply my knowledge to whatever discipline I want?
Yeah.
Do you experience that argument, and how do you respond to that?
Like for us, like the graduate students, so like master students, it's a set up differently than here. Like the bachelor degrees are shorter, and usually you do masters before PhD, but I can answer for the PhD students. So basically, all our PhD students are paid, but not in a way as you are organizing it, that you have like a large number of applications, then there's the intake, but we are specifically hiring for projects and also marketing the projects. For instance, like for the PhD school, we had like, okay, we are having these 5 topics, and when 3 of them were filled, we are still hiring for topics 1 or 2. It's very tedious. For us, it's very hard because for each master of computer science master holder, it's very easy to get any job they want, but we just have to find the handful that's interested. It's very difficult. But we are really marketing the job, so we can find
I think the answers I like is number one, if you do what Mark says and you join a computer science department, you might get a job at Google, you know, good chance, or someplace like that.
Yeah.
But you won't be getting a job at that intersection between disciplines because you haven't learned how to cross disciplines, right? Secondly, it's at the intersection of disciplines that the really interesting problems are often, not always, but often. So
That's my pitch. Kathy.
For this I love teaching, because when I was when I sent out a lot of applications for the internship and everything, I had a couple interviews where they actually said they are looking for people like that. They're not looking for computer science majors or like the UI UX, but like a combination between these two. So that's like my experience.
You're lucky.
I mean, but at the end, how many PhD students continue in their very specific field? They've been doing their PhD, and still you acquire so much that in the end, you can also master other problems. So this would also be my answer to such a student that, but I think even in academia, there are only a few examples that had their topics like from the PhD to the end. And generally, I think in Lower Austria, there was one study, was that like 18% of the PhD holders continued even working in the field they did their
I don't know what the stats are.
in the domain, let's say.
Yeah, I don't know what the stats are here.
Yeah. But for the computer vision, I can also see there like Theo cards with Horst Bischof. Of course, there was also still is Amazon and whoever have their offices there, and they need very specific candidates. So I could not go there, or could have not went there and said, look, I'm here.
Yeah.
I work with archaeologists, can I work with you? So that's the other
I
prospect.
mean, I think that, you know, the kind of work that you're doing is, to me, enormously exciting. Also very difficult to characterize in a way that's systematically marketable.
Yeah.
So it's for us people who like to run away and do things at the intersections or in the margins.
Yeah.
You're not always recognized. There's like, you know, so I think the students who graduate from our program get good jobs, yes, but they first have to pass the robot resume screener that says, oh, wrong degree, out.
So, like,
I don't know what to-
what's the title of the degree then?
Creative technology and design used to be.
Also for the PhD?
Also.
Ah,
So we-
okay.
Bachelor,
Okay.
master, and
This I know.
PhD,
Okay.
creative
Usually
technology.
the
design.
technology,
Okay.
media and society, and that was people would read that as a science, technology, and society
Mhm.
theory of, or humanities of.
Mhm.
And so because we're in an engineering discipline,
Yep.
I don't know that creative technology and design is the right. We talked about engineering design, we talked about science and engineering. It was like hard to find the name. And then I don't know that it was the right move to name them all the way up the same stack.
Mhm.
Used to be technology, arts and media. The
Mhm.
arts people didn't like it
Yeah.
because we're not really doing art, high art, fine art.
Yeah.
And so then, anyway, so.
Yeah. No, but I remember this discussion, but that's interesting, and I've been discussing it with others during the weekend. In Austria, like the PhD titles are way more generic. So I'm holding a PhD in computer science. And so they have like only like very large
Yeah.
containers that they are awarding, and but I mean, there is a creative industry out there, and we have the, how to say, the feedback that the alumni find jobs.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's not
I
like
mean,
it's not like our graduates don't get jobs.
Yeah.
They do, they get good jobs. It's more, how do we explain to their grandparents?
Yeah.
How do you talk about this weird degree that you have?
We also have the problem.
Yeah, also?
Really?
Yeah, with creative
Yeah.
computing, because it sounds like very ambiguous. So basically, like I always explain it like IT for like people to understand it more easily.
And the advantage is that in Poland, you don't have to explain to your grandfather, because he's not paying for the studies.
That's good point. Yeah. We have to explain beforehand to the funding bodies and to the state why we think it's important. Yeah.
Do you have to make an argument to the Austrian government on regular, are you funded by the government? So do you have to,
Yeah.
every 5 years, produce here's why we exist?
So like, as long as I don't change the name or other significant things, I only had to do it once. So, and then the places stay there forever. But the 5-year cycle is there as well, but that's handled internally. So like smaller changes, but this is what you usually do is internally, and really only if you change like the broad direction or the title, then you have to get re-accredited, which is a very tedious process. So usually one avoids it. So the name of the study program is fixed.
I think it fits pretty well.
Yeah. We are happy with the title, but it's good points that maybe the prospective students don't have to fight so hard with the parents or grandparents. They will still tell them, go to law school. This is what my father at least tried to tell me, because then everything's fine. But the argument is not so helping.
Any last questions, comments?
Yeah, comments also, and I can handle it.
I think it's great what you're doing.
It's really interesting.
I can handle that. So.
The cultural heritage is so much more ancient in Europe. I think that, that's one reason why there's greater maybe respect for work in this direction. And greater opportunity, and of course a lot more stuff to work with.
Maybe then also one last comment from my end. Of course, we also have to always legitimate ourselves inside of the university. So like for new money, like we are funded per study place. I mean, not legitimate in a way that we are somehow threatened because we are performing well. So that's fine. They're happy and proud. But if there are, for instance, opportunities for new money, like new study places, we always get only like the harder ones. For instance, know that you can have more students in June and do it already in September. Then like the others say, oh, maybe not, but this is our time then. So like IT security, for instance, also a large area there. They don't have to discuss at all where they are there and important. And I understand that, but we know that we are important, but like the, how to say, the priorities in the house one always has to like pitch, like an artist always pitch, tell, and.
How do you handle people who come, do people come to you, say, I have a problem, I have something that I want to work on with you?
Mhm.
How do you field those and how do you organize them,
Mhm.
take in, because obviously opportunities, but
Yeah.
there's also work involved.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
It's depending on the scale.
Okay.
So, like for bigger things, the answer is let's do a proposal together, because very often, like there are the institutions or the scholars from other disciplines, and then we have really like a stack of opportunities, like from student projects or finance and intern, and we will do the rest and carry the risk. Smaller, more application and industry oriented fundings, where the company, I don't know, pays 20% and 80% is covered by the funding. So we have a whole set of possibilities, and I spared this out, but we have like the full scale from, I don't know, 5,000 euros up to, I don't know how many, yeah. But we always try to be open.
Sure.
Because like, as a general rule, open, collaborative, and interest. Yeah.
How do you, when you talk about like different scales of collaboration and external partners, how do you manage that with students? Is that something that is optional for students to get involved in their own time? Is it something that it becomes part of a unit that they take part in and they will contribute to run their own projects? Or is it something that's happening more like a staff level?
So like in terms of the so everything that's in the curriculum and students have to do it, we seldomly take on the job to have industry involved. There's one exemption, that's like the last semester, this huge project, but I think it's like kind of a mutual situation of using each other, because we use the external partner to be an external partner, someone that wants something, has specific needs, has maybe no idea of what is possible. So we use them as someone, helping the students to work for. And on the other hand, also they know students can fail, but most of the time they produce something useful. I really have to say, we always tell them, look, there could be no outcome, but it never happens, because it also helps, I think, students to have a real person with a real problem and real questions.
Authentic, yeah.
And then, like the rest is then all already in the institute, but like the smallest version, like the 5,000 euros to finance an intern for 1 semester, this is then like the juniors are supervising them and working with them, and and then it scales up. But we try not to create, we don't create the situation where the student produce something in their coursework. Yeah.